Today we have with us Lisa Price. Lisa is the CEO and founder of Carol's Daughter. Lisa's here today to talk to us about the evolution of Carol's Daughter's channel strategy, from flea markets to the major retailers. What kind of partners did you need every step of the way as you were expanding from the flea markets to your home, to Sephora, to Macy's?
Oh my goodness, do we have an hour?
As much as you want.
Well, initially, the partners that I always made sure that I had and that I could afford was an attorney and an accountant. I was blessed to have an attorney who was so kind to me, who didn't require that I send him a retainer. He would only bill me when I called him and we talked about things. So I was able to get amazing advice when I needed it without having to think about a $10,000 retainer. I could just pay for each phone call that we would have. And I was always very efficient and make sure it ended within an hour. But then as the brand began to grow and we took on investors, the way that you do business just begins to change because there are just more levels and there's more things that you need to pay attention to. The more money you earn, the more structured your accounting needs to be. When you're doing business in brick and mortar, but you're also doing business online, there's this thing with taxes where even though you don't have a brick and mortar in a particular city or state, you may still be liable to pay sales taxes in that state because they figured out this way of saying, even though you don't have a brick and mortar in our city, because of your web outreach and your presence in another retailer, it's like you have a virtual brick and mortar in our city. So keeping up with the sales taxes for the entire country, even though you don't have stores in those cities, is a complicated thing. And there's actually a person on our staff where that's all she does, is to keep track of that. So there are just many levels of business where you don't know it till you get there. It's very hard to prepare for everything. And I think it's important to try to get the best advice possible, but also not sort of fall apart because you didn't know something. It's sort of like being a parent, like you don't know everything that your child is going to go through when you bring the baby home until they're 22 and they move out, hopefully. You don't know you don't know everything that's going to happen with them, and you take it as it comes, and they're resilient, they survive. Your business can be resilient as well. I always used to say the old saying, God protects fools and babies. So if I didn't know something, if I didn't know a particular tax law or a particular state rule with regard to insurance or something like that, then I was a baby. I didn't know. I was ignorant. I didn't know. But once I'm made aware of it, I can't ignore it. Once I know that I have to pay this particular thing, then I have to pay it, because now I'm not going to be protected anymore. I can't say that I was a baby and I didn't know. But it's been a really interesting journey, because there's a lot of times where you just kind of feel like you should give up. This is too hard. But you just hang in there and you keep doing it. And the passion of what you're doing is what carries you through. But you do need partners. You do need advisors. They're going to be very different depending on the business, the type of business, the level of business, but you have to be open to it, and you have to understand that it's a necessary expense. Some people feel like, oh, I can't pay that person $400 an hour for their advice. But if you don't, you might end up paying somebody else $5,000 for a stupid mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so what was first, the partner or the opportunity?
Well, I guess it would depend on the situation. There's a lot of, I think this is an entrepreneur's life. There's just a lot of, oh, I can do that? all right, let me figure out how to do that. Well, maybe I need to get this person to help me figure out how to do that, because you can't let an opportunity pass you by because they don't come often. So while there should be a plan and a process and strategy, sometimes it's flying by the seat of your pants. So an example would be getting the business with Sephora. Even though it was something that we wanted, we didn't think it was going to happen as quickly as it did. And we couldn't handle the production of all of the product for their initial order within our warehouse in Brooklyn. So we had to get contract manufacturers to assist us with that. And so the opportunity was there to have the business with Sephora, which then led to partnering with these manufacturers to help get that initial order done. And there's been a lot of that throughout the years.
Figure it out as you go.
Absolutely, absolutely.